welcome to the Webcast for Tuesday, September 23rd. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. Visible satellite this morning shows scattered mid-level clouds pivoting inland across southwestern portions of California. However, skies are clear across much of the interior, and there is also very little in the way of any marine layer clouds this morning. Those mid-level clouds pivoting in from offshore are a precursor to a more unsettled weather pattern taking shape across the region. However, before we get there, we do have a pretty hot and dry day ahead of us today. There's not a lot of wind out there this morning. These are some stations showing gusts at or above 15 miles per hour. There's not many of them, but what they have in common is that they are all offshore winds, northeast to east, and while it's hardly a raging Santa Ana event, the offshore flow influence is going to be a factor today, and we'll likely see these winds strengthen a little more in the mountains through the morning and midday hours, with some gusts in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range developing. The main effect of this light offshore flow will be to really help warm us up today. Today will easily be the hottest day of the week in most areas. Valley and desert highs will rise well into the 90s to near 100 in the warmer spots. And today will also be the driest day of the week in most cases, with minimum humidity falling mostly into the 12 to 25% range this afternoon. Of course, we're carrying a lot of beneficial moisture effects from recent days, but if nothing else, these are definitely more active burning conditions than we've seen lately, and you should expect notably greater receptivity in your fine fuels today. By tonight, however, the focus is going to shift back to that area of upper-level low pressure off the Southern California coast, the same one spreading those mid-level clouds onshore this morning. That low will drift off the coast for another day or two, then drift into Central California later this week before drifting down into Southern California by the end of this week, a classic slow-moving and meandering cutoff low-pressure system. As the upper low moves closer and eventually overhead, it's going to bring many days of scattered shower and thunderstorm chances to the region. Not washout-type weather by any means, but unsettled and showery in a lot of spots. The focus for the greatest amount of shower and storm activity will pretty much follow the track of that low. Showers and thunderstorms will begin to move over the central coast region as early as this evening, affecting Santa Barbara County first, then steadily spreading northward tonight. Scattered showers and storms will then continue to affect mainly just central California through Thursday, and then as that low pressure starts to drift southward, showers and storms will expand into Southern California late in the week and also continue to affect the Sierra. Here's a look at the expected rainfall totals through this weekend. There's going to be some splotchiness, and the higher totals will favor the foothills and mountains as they usually do. Overall, I would say this map looks probably a little overdone in a lot of Central California and probably underdone in portions of Southern California, but either way, one of the key takeaways is that while it's definitely a continuation of the beneficial moisture pattern that we've been in, there will probably be a lot of areas that come away with less than half an inch of additional rainfall through the upcoming weekend. Some areas will see more, and again, it's definitely beneficial weather, but it's not likely to spur any sort of significant widespread green up, especially in Southern California. The other story will be the return of cooler weather after today's heat. Here are the forecast highs by tomorrow, and you can see in most cases it's dramatically cooler than today. And from there, we'll generally level out with some minor ups and downs, but temperatures overall running several degrees below normal through this weekend, with valley highs mostly in the 80s to near 90. The other thing we'll see is that regardless of rainfall amounts, the pattern will remain unusually humid, something we've been seeing a lot of late. After today, minimum humidity will be mostly above 25%, at least through this weekend, with very good overnight recoveries, and you'll continue to notice that atypically sticky feel to the air for much of this week. Other than locally gusty and erratic winds near thunderstorms, winds will be light from Wednesday through this weekend. And heading into early next week, the forecast is a little uncertain, but a return to drier weather with seasonable temperatures appears most likely by next Monday and Tuesday. Dead fuel moistures remain well above normal following our recent wet and humid stretch, and perhaps more notable is that other than today, we're not going to be seeing any drying over the next 7 days, with the unusually humid and showery weather keeping dead fuel moistures very much on the high side for many days to come. The damp weather conditions, of course, will continue to keep our large fire potential very low, especially for this time of year. Fire potential will increase a little today with the hotter and drier weather. Again, we'll at least see the 1 and 10-hour fuels in more receptive territory. There is also potential for a few lightning starts tonight in the Central Coast region as those thunderstorms move in following the hot and dry weather today. However, storms should trend pretty wet pretty quickly, and the return of those much cooler and more humid conditions by tomorrow and through the rest of this week will continue to greatly limit fire spread potential for the foreseeable future. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Wednesday, September 24th.